Hey everyone, it's Jackie Rose, and saying, where are you now? I'm in the Arctic. I am north, way north of Fairbanks, Alaska, and I can't even believe I'm doing this video from the Arctic. And man, sometimes you just need to get away and be alone with your thoughts. And I mean, you can almost get a little bit of anxiety being out here. Granted, everybody's back at base camp, and trying to find that time where we can be human beings instead of human doings, as we often do. And I would say, gosh, we've been here since today's Monday, and Cat arrived here actually by dog sled on Saturday, and that is a dog sledding trip. And so we're learning how to be mushers. Part of how I felt was my medicine. I love huskies and I love being out in the snow, and something about the mountains that I can't just seem to get enough of. Let's see if I can turn and get a lot of that back up there. And like I always say, it's not for everybody. People say you're crazy, and like, no, I'm not crazy. I'm just out of my comfort zone, and this is the way that God designed me. And of course, I'm up here just doing, of course, a lot of thinking. And I'm just talking to a lot of the other people here, mostly out of a group of 8. There's 6 women, interestingly enough. I find it to be very, I don't know, I guess I just didn't think there was a lot of women like me. And there's, like I said, 2 guys, and I asked the women, I said, why are you up here? And various reasons. Wanted to just get unplugged from work. Some of them, a lot of them actually, are nurses in the medical field. They felt like it was safe to travel, but they could have gone anywhere. And they decided to come here. And it's interesting as I talk to them, how I just feel like, in the very beginning, everybody has like that mask that they wear. And I sit always in these situations and I look around at everybody and I think, what kind of conversation am I going to have with these individuals? I have no idea. God said those 8 people. He chose these 8 people to come out here in the middle of, like, literally, when people say the middle of nowhere, I'm like, it's not the middle of nowhere, it's somewhere. It's where God wanted us to be. God had created this with intention. I mean, there are caribou here, there are moose here, there are polar bear here, and I hope that this is not going to be a witness to any kind of a animal attack, but I don't think so. I think I'm good. It's absolutely gorgeous here. But anyway, after a few days of spending time together, I feel like everybody starts to kind of settle in and they start to realize they're unplugged, and we have no cell phone service up here, and we all start to connect and we all start to open up a little bit. So just moments ago, I was down on the other section of snow, if you will, overlooking the valley, and we started talking to one of the ladies, and she just started to ask us if we want to do yoga right out here. With these little patches you can see, there's a lot of them. It's like a lot of ground squirrels come up, and there's some berries in there, and the animals are starting to come out of hibernation, and we just started doing yoga together and having a conversation about just how busy we can be, and everybody's different types of coping devices. These women didn't lose a child, I know, and I have shared bits and pieces of my story. And of course, everybody's kind of in awe about that. And then I find those opportunities to share about God. And, I'm blessed. I am blessed to be in a place like this, to be able to share. But it's just like me, I can't come out on an adventure. And I've been on quite a few of them without looking around and seeing like how it can be used by God. And there was this one lady that I kind of figured from the very beginning that she needed Jesus. And I've been kind of floating around camp and looking for an opportunity, and I got a chance to talk to her this morning, and a good group of the people went out with the dogs and mushing. That's a whole other story. Mushing with these dogs, these huskies, and that's, like I said, it's a whole other story. But I stayed back and had a good conversation with them, and it's just amazing how people can start to take off their mask when you start sharing that part of your story. And so yeah, ladies, I don't know where God's going to have you go, but I do know that He's got these plans for you. And I seriously doubt for most of you it's going to be out here in the middle of the Arctic, but we're all designed differently. And it doesn't matter where you go, the desert, you could go on an African safari, you can go, I mean, when we can all travel again, it doesn't matter, just even your grocery store, but just live expectantly of what God has for you to share with other people. And we already have established a bond just because we all opened up a little bit about what goes on in our other lives. Because again, he just chose 8 people at random to come out and spend these 5 days together out here dog mushing. And it's just amazing. Even for me, experiencing fear of the unknown. I think that's why I love adventure. I love the fact that adventure means like you have no idea basically what's around the corner. It's participating in an event that you don't know what the outcome's necessarily going to be, but you be prepared and not scared. And I've been in a lot of adventures in my life, so many, because again, that's just how I'm designed. And I would say that, you know, climbing in the Dolomites, rock climbing, and so many trips mountain biking, participating in endurance events, doing rim to rim at Grand Canyon at 104 degrees at the basin, and experiencing, what did I have? Heat stroke basically coming out the other end. And people just go, why do you keep doing that? And I said, well, God's not interested in my comfort. He's interested in my character. And I will go to the ends of the earth to be able to live my life the way I wanted him to until I can't do it anymore. And in the meantime, there's just a lot of people that need Jesus, and they need to know how you survived our landslide. And maybe, of course, that's why Jackie does all of these things. We've written books, resurfacing, and the next book that's coming up. It's all going to be designed around mountains because it's what I love and it's what I can relate to. And so I hope you take all this in. I hope that you live expectantly of what God has for you, I have to say, and get emotional. But yesterday I was out with a dog sled, and I had my team of dogs. I have, I'm trying to remember, Woody and Capone and Chica and Yvonne. Those are my dog team, dog names. And I was coming across, we went out, and it was like at 10 o'clock at night. It's still totally light out. The moon was coming up over the mountain, and I was coming across and then coming down the hill, and the sun's just coming right in her face. And I just started crying. I said, wow, I miss my son. I miss him so much. And yet, I know he's so glad that I'm out here having these adventures. Here comes the ugly cry. But yeah, it doesn't matter wherever I'm at. It doesn't mean that I forget about him. You never forget about him. But what helps is when you can talk to other people about Jesus and how he brought you through. And so I just encourage you. It's not the end of your life. It's not. And you have to do your work. I mean, this whole situation, this whole landslide affects the entire nervous system. You have to do things like holy yoga. You have to do things like prayerful meditation. You have to eat correctly. You have to go and do acupuncture. You have to kind of connect with you again. It just doesn't happen because the body does keep the score. And whatever that looks like for you, again, this is what it looks like for me. And I'm just able, like I said, blessed to be able to come out here physically and share these experiences with you to encourage you. You know, it is April 2021, and I will be 59 years old in June, and I'm so grateful that I can be